Welcome everyone to Monday Morning Morons for February 5th, 2018. This week there were a couple of big stories that somewhat dominated the news cycle. There was of course Trump's State of the Union address, and the pundits have talked that to death already, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but I will point out this little nugget. Students hate Trump's State of the Union before it even happens. This Tuesday, President Donald Trump will give his first State of the Union address to the nation. Critics of Trump have already begun to express displeasure with his actions in the days leading up to the speech, leading some to wonder whether his opposition is substantive or rooted in a distaste of Trump as a person. Wanting to find out, Campus Reform headed to New York University to ask students their opinion of President Trump's State of the Union. The only problem for them was that the speech would not take place for another 7 days. Would that stop them from giving strong condemnatory opinions on the speech? You can watch the video for yourself if you like, but spoiler alert, it doesn't. Big surprise, I'm sure. Their opposition to him is not based on policy or achievement or anything substantive. They just hate him. And like good little brainwashed partisans, they don't give a fuck what he does. Whatever it is, must be bad because he did it. Now I've watched the speech, and honestly, I didn't hear all that much in there that was overly objectionable. There were some overt jabs at some of his political opponents, of course. Every president does that in the State of the Union, but policy-wise, it was pretty tame. Sure, he's still insisting on the wall, which of course Democrats and their sycophants oppose, but in exchange he offered to support a path to citizenship for all those so-called dreamers Democrats are evidently so worried about. That's called compromise. You get something you want, he gets something he wants. But the reaction from Democrats was clear. They aren't interested in compromise. They're going to keep playing the all-or-nothing game to appease their radical base and hope that's enough to win them more seats in the upcoming midterms. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if it works out for them, but the more they campaign on extremes, the smaller their voting base becomes. Sure, that base might be quite loud, but at the polls, the loudest voice still only counts as one vote. Just saying, if you're trying to gain the majority, you might want to listen to the majority instead of the screeching harpies way out in left field. The other kind of big story this week was the grid girls thing. There are probably 1,000 stories about this, and it'd take us days to go through all the good ones, so I won't, but I wanted to point out this one because I found this woman's justification absolutely hilarious. Formula One team chief Claire Williams supports scrapping of grid girls. The 41-year-old, who is F1's only female team boss, told BBC Sport it was a decision the sport needed to make. Williams recognized grid girls were part of a long tradition and that there would be a mixed reaction, but said, "We have to move with the times." She said she hoped F1 could attract more females into the many roles available to them in the industry. Did you catch that? We hope to attract more women to the many roles available to them by eliminating some of the roles available to them. In other words, we want more women in the sport just so long as they do the jobs you want them to do. Choice, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually what it means to these people. Feminism. We're fighting for your freedom to choose whatever job we want you to do. Look, it's pretty damn obvious what's going on here, and the fluffy language is doing nothing to distract people from the truth. Bitter, angry, unattractive women are trying to increase their own market value by eliminating the competition. These are attractive young ladies who enjoy what they're doing. They make a living off their look because they can. It's no different than any other modeling job. People, men and women, like to look at the pretty people. The difference between feminists and the rest of us? We appreciate the pretty people. We look at them, yes, with desire sometimes, but also because we like pretty people. Feminists look at pretty women through the lens of envy. They want to be the pretty people, and they are infuriated that they aren't. It's pure, unadulterated jealousy. She's prettier than I am. That bitch must die! You think it's going to stop with grid girls or dart girls? Fuck no. They'll come for the cheerleaders next. Then the flag girls and the billboards and the fashion models and anyone else they deem attractive because fuck those pretty girls. This is high school clique mentality, folks. The unpopular girls are still pissed that the cheerleaders are having more fun, and they will burn down the entire planet just to get back at them. A warning for the ladies. Feminism isn't just going after the men. If you're not a hairy land whale with a parakeet's hair color and the bitter, vindictive personality of Evanora, the feminists will come to strip away your rights too. They simply will not be happy until every woman on the planet is just as miserable as they are. Misery loves company, and these cunts are the most miserable people to ever walk the earth. The other hot topic of the week was, of course, the Nunez memo being released. I'm not going to talk about this one much because, frankly, for all the hype surrounding this thing, on its own, it's nothing. I know everyone wants it to be, but it's just not. It's a memo prepared for Republicans by Republican staffers. It provides plenty of accusations, yes, but zero actual evidence. Is it worth investigating these claims? Absolutely. If true, that's some serious shit, and indeed could very well be far worse than Watergate, but the memo in and of itself? Accusations, nothing more. Why Democrats were so dead set against it being made public? Now that's a curious thing, isn't it? What exactly are you afraid of? That Americans might start asking uncomfortable questions you don't want to answer? What is it you big government douche nozzles love to tell us when you're about to violate our privacy? If you've got nothing to hide, then you've got nothing to worry about, right? Been saying that shit about this Russia bullshit for over a year now, remember? Well, shoe's on the other foot now, isn't it? And now you don't like how it fits. I hope they investigate these claims, yes, but for right now, I'm afraid there's just not enough concrete evidence for me to take a side. I'm generally pessimistic about our elected officials anyway, so it wouldn't surprise me in the least if these things are true, but I can't say that they are with any level of confidence just yet either. So for now, I'm going to hold my tongue on it. What else have we got this week? Dartmouth expelled male victim of sextortion attempt by female who raped him. Oh my yes. I encourage everyone to go read this one for yourself. It's quite long, so I'm not going to cover everything here, but I will give you a quick sort of summary because remember, we should listen and believe rape victims. Dartmouth expelled a male student after he accused a female student of sexually assaulting him and threatening to accuse him of rape if he didn't keep having sex with her, according to a lawsuit against the college filed earlier this month. Unless, of course, those rape victims are men. Now, as I said, this is a pretty lengthy article, but here's the gist of it. John Doe alleges that Sally Smith, not their real names obviously, had rough BDSM sex with him while he was incapacitated. Too drunk to remember anything is what he's saying. A fact that she herself corroborates more than once in texts to him, her friends, and the investigators. Here's the relevant part. She showed up unannounced at his fraternity party the next month, where Doe drank so much that his last memory of the night was throwing up. He does not have any memory of seeing Smith that night. The suit says he drank about 36 ounces of predominantly hard alcohol. The next morning, Doe woke up to Smith in his bed, who informed him they had sex again and things got rough. Because he had been incapacitated the night before, Doe could not consent to Smith's advances, he claims. Doe noticed his injuries after Smith left. Soon after, the S&M enthusiast sent him photos of her own bruises and said the night had been fun. In a meeting that afternoon, Smith told Doe how they got their injuries, confirmed he had asked her to leave multiple times during the evening, and issued what he considered a veiled threat. Smith made comments to him about a friend of hers who had been falsely accused of sexual assault and said she would never do such a thing to the plaintiff. She stated that if plaintiff had sex with her that afternoon, it would be helpful to his case. But the sweet, sweet cherry on top of the cake here, she filed charges against him first when he refused to keep having sex with her, just as she hinted she would do in the above comments. The investigation was a clear, farcical exercise as they ignored numerous pieces of evidence and found him responsible for endangering her. Ain't that some shit? She rapes him and they expel him for endangering her. Still think this shit has anything to do with justice for rape victims? Honestly, I can't cover much more of this one. The whole thing stinks, and frankly just pisses me off. Do read it for yourself, though. Link is in the description. And remember it next time these social justice warriors pretend they give a fuck about male victims. I can't remember ever seeing a clearer case of victim blaming, yet for some reason or another, they aren't talking about it. I wonder why. Since we're already in the dumpster, may as well check in on our toxic masculinity this week. I'm gonna do 2 this time. The first one comes courtesy of Gopher's World again. 2 sisters accused of fatally beating boy for taking cupcake. 2 sisters have been indicted in the fatal spanking and beating of a 3-year-old with a baseball bat for taking a cupcake from the kitchen. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office says LaShirley Morris and Glendria Morris were formally charged Tuesday with 2 counts of felony murder, 1 count of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of cruelty in the first degree. Authorities say it happened October 21st. According to the indictment, LaShirley Morris used the bat to hit Kaywan, I don't know how to pronounce that, repeatedly in the head, while her sister, the child's legal guardian, used her hand to spank the little boy. Well, that'll teach him, huh? The disgusting little toxic male obviously thought he was entitled to a cupcake. You see, folks, even at 3 years old, boys are just horrible, entitled little toxic villains. Better beat that little patriarchal fucker to death with a bat, huh? Seems like a totally reasonable reaction to a kid trying to eat something. Next, we've got one that John the Bemused sent to me on Twitter. Woman whose mother set her up to be raped by a stranger in a motel room at age 16 lives in fear for her life after violent courtroom outbursts. This one's kind of long, but let's boil it down, shall we? Therese Butler had an internet boyfriend that evidently wanted to have sex with a younger version of her. So, like any good, caring mother would, she liquored up her daughter, PETA, when she was 16 and left her in a motel room to be raped by the guy because, you know, the internet boyfriend is totally more important than your own daughter, of course. At her sentencing, which we'll get to in a minute, she screamed for this boyfriend to kill her daughter and the girl's father because, well, I guess PETA is just an ungrateful little bitch, huh? The little cunt should be thanking her mother for such a tender moment of compassion in her life, right? I mean, come on, PETA. Your mommy loved you so much, she got you raped. Where's your gratitude, woman? And, oh yeah, what was that sentence for this mother who cares so deeply about her daughter? The vile mother, now 47, was sentenced to 4 years jail, suspended after 12 months, by the state's district court on Monday. Yep, a single year. Which, with time already served, means she'll be back out in about 8 months. Yay for justice, huh? That'll certainly teach other caring and compassionate mothers like her not to do this shit, won't it? But you know what? I've got an idea that will totally make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen in the future. Just teach men not to rape. I mean, if it weren't for men, this poor mother wouldn't have had to get her daughter drunk and drive her to a motel room to be raped by some scumbag. It's not like she had a choice or anything, right? Men are the real perpetrators here. All men, too. All of you. Not just this fucking scumbag who raped her, but every single one of us. We all did this. Not the mother, though. No. Totally not her fault at all. In fact, now that I think about it, a year behind bars is just way too harsh a punishment for that poor oppressed woman, isn't it? She was just trying to give some despicable man what he wanted because the patriarchal society monster totally says offering up your daughter is the right thing to do, doesn't it? I'm sure I read that somewhere in the patriarchy handbook. What a depressing week. We really need some laughs now, Bob. Scholars champion women's studies as virus concept. Infect, disrupt traditional fields. 2 academics at the Arizona State University authored an academic article arguing that students of women's studies should serve as symbolic viruses in order to infect, unsettle, and disrupt traditional and entrenched fields. The lack of self-awareness. Clearly they haven't noticed that's exactly what feminism is already doing. But hey, at least they're finally calling it the right thing, huh? Feminism isn't a movement, it's a virus. It infects one thing, then another, and another, consuming and destroying all of them. They are so close to the verge of awareness, and yet still so far away. Funny, but not enough, Bob. We need more this week. When man bites dog, suspect chomps canine, but the canine chomps right back. Oh, this should be good. A man holed up in a trailer in New Hampshire bit a police dog, which bit him right back and ended up the winner of the unusual confrontation. Officers used a stun gun to subdue the man, who was charged with resisting arrest and assault on a police dog. Shaking off the man bite, Canine Vida of the New Hampshire State Police returned to duty. He succeeded in biting on the dog, but it didn't have the same effect as the dog biting on him. Police Lieutenant Jason Killery told Fox News on Tuesday. If you get into a biting competition with a police dog, you're not going to win, he said, according to Reuters. They're pretty good at it. No shit. Fucking idiot. Okay, I'm feeling a little better now. Maybe just one more to wrap it up, though. Sexist spirit of dead Freemason growled at terrified mom. Ah, fuck. When you can't find enough sexism in the real world to bitch about, you can always count on those damn sexist ghosts to stir up some shit, huh? That's it for this week, folks. Remember the mantra, women are victims, men are oppressors, and feminism is just about equality. I'll see you all next time.